But before a movie ever got released on videotape, and before the primary fight began, there was already a potential battle being waged between filmmaker and distributor.
The only thing is, I didn't like the cover. I think I could have done better than this.
Do you remember any specific examples of box art that really stretched the representation of a movie?
That really stretched the representation of the film. They're so numerous to be able to mention.
Armed with this loose attitude, distributors could, for instance, take a 1970s Italian mafia film and repackage it on video to look like a 1980s Rambo ripoff.
And this got to be a problem eventually because Charlie Band and people like that and Roger Corman would do these fantastic painted covers, beautiful, beautiful artwork. And then the people would get them home and they'd put in whatever it was, and there wouldn't be a movie like that inside on the tape. And there was a backlash. And then all of a sudden, everybody from Vestron and Prism and says, well, now we don't want paintings. Everybody has to have photocomps as their covers because people are complaining that the painting doesn't represent the movie that's inside. And so the beautiful era of painted poster art went away.
But photocomps could lie too. And in all of VHS history, perhaps the greatest example was this.
I have put it in a box and put it away. Please don't open it up for me. Maybe you can put it away that easy, but I can't. Doesn't it bother you that we're not friends anymore? Didn't our friendship mean anything to you?
I mean, I made a sensitive drama about two best friends, and it got released as an action film called The Worst of Enemies. You know, at that time, it was the home video concept was either slasher film or TNA. Mine really didn't fall into either of those categories. And Rewound was like, well, we'll just make it look like it does. I gotta hand it to him. You know, especially David Ramawi, who was my contact over there. And he's gone on to do this Mockbusters, where they're, you know, instead of snakes on the plane, it's snakes on a train.
My philosophy was you want to find the most marketable elements that are in that movie, and those, and you really can't focus on more than 3 or 4, and make sure they're on your cover. That's sort of the story you're telling the audience, that these elements, which are typically elements that excite an audience, they're in this movie, and you can tell that because they're here on the cover.
It's killing me. Please let me get it out before it destroys what little life I've got left.
I do recall Rewound basically saying, you know, look, we want a gun in there somewhere.
Where were you when I needed someone to hold me and tell me everything was going to be all right?
You know, that's what sells. Sexy girl and a gun.
Speaking of which, how is Elizabeth?
Oh, major disaster. We broke up.
I mean, there was no gun in the movie, but I'm holding a gun on the cover, which I think is hysterical.
You want to talk to me about it?
You know, you hope that there's enough of those elements in the movie to satisfy the audience once they've seen it.
But misleading though it was, at least The Worst of Enemies had art created specifically for that release.
Mogul had very nice box covers with this in-house painter that did really nice artwork. If you stacked up 10 Mogul videos in a row, they would all look like they came from the same company just because the guy who did their paintings on the covers was the same artist. So I was thinking that they would probably give me this treatment too, that I would have one of these nice paintings by this artist on my cover. But then they were asking me to give them suggestions for what the cover should look like, so I had a press kit for the Umberto Lenzi movie, Nightmare City. And so I gave them this and said, here, this key art from this. This is an image maybe your artist could do something like this. And so, but then instead of hiring him to do that, they just used the exact art I gave them. So I thought he was just going to use that as inspiration and do his own painting, but I guess they figured, why should we spend money on having him do something when we've got this painting right here? We'll just use this.
And I had a film called The Alien Dead. Not a great film. It was one of the films that I started before the VHS era came along, a film that I made to play in drive-ins. And for whatever reason, it was one of the most distributed pictures I ever made. It's had 6 or 7 different covers. The best one I ever saw, it actually had the poster for The Evil Dead as the cover. It was the girl, it was exactly the poster. It was the girl with the arm coming up, and it had the name of my movie on it instead.